beaten the Clippers because they outplayed them. The young kids with a bright future led for almost the entire game. In the regular season, the young team outplays the veteran team. In the regular season, the young team plays with more urgency, and the Clippers are in too big a hole, and they got a game tomorrow night, and they had a game 2 nights ago, and one guy didn't play because, his left ankle's kind of sore. But last night was the playoffs. So trailing 97-90 in a playoff game, Doc Rivers goes, timeout. He gets all the the men, not the kids, the men, and he goes, fellas, let's play some defense. And Denver was then outscored 21-6. And then Michael Porter couldn't get all those dunks. And Jamal Murray wasn't as good, and Jokic couldn't find open cutters. In the regular season, Denver wins this game. In the playoffs, and this is what I've said about the Clippers, why they're going to win, the Clippers win the game. Doc Rivers, the veteran coach, calls a timeout, looks at veteran Paul George and veteran Kawhi Leonard, says, fellas, okay, let's go. See the clock? Let's change the game. People always say, I always think this is the silliest, most overdone segment in sports talk radio and television debate shows. Can you flip a switch? Yes, we all flip switches all day. All day. Oh, boss walks into a room. Hi, Boss Rooney. How are things? Can I get a cup of coffee for you? Wife walks into the room. Listen more. Kids walk into the room. Talk more. Our whole lives are a series of conversations, flipping switches, changing our personalities based on, are we talking to a boss? Are we listening to our wives? Are we dealing with our kids? Are we dealing with employees? Are we the employee? Of course you can flip a switch. Last night the Clippers did it. Great teams have always done it. When Tim Duncan and the Spurs and Popovich were in their prime and really an incredible dynasty, they never dominated in the regular season. They took nights off. They didn't care about the number 1 seed. And all of a sudden, switch, flipped, they won. Basketball maybe is unique. Maybe you can't do it in hockey. Maybe you can't do it in baseball. Maybe you can't do it in football. But in basketball, we all know who the best players are. We know who the best team is. We know who the deepest roster is. And Denver is a terrific young franchise. Joy and I have said this. Dallas is going to get way more press because of Mark Cuban and Luka. I'm not sure anybody's got more good young players than Denver. They're really good. Miami and Denver, watch out. Really good for the next 5 years or more. But last night, Denver wins if it's a regular season game. It's a playoff game. Timeout, 97-90. Fellas, time to put in the handcuff defense. No easy baskets. Get more physical. Doc Rivers talked about it late in the game.
Just all our defense down the stretch. The game came down to one of the two teams who's going to play some defense. And for 3.5 quarters, both teams were basically scoring. And then the last 6 minutes, it was our defense. We had our lapses. There's no doubt about that, Andrew. But overall, when we locked in, we were really good.
Yeah. I've said there's 8 teams in the playoffs. 7 are good to pretty good. 1 is occasionally capable of being great. It's the Clippers, and they were for 6.5 minutes last night. Regular season, they lose it. Playoff game, they win it. And that's why they'll end up in the Western Conference Finals, and it's why they'll beat the Lakers, and it's why they'll win the NBA championship. All right, this is Thursday the NFL starts. Texans, Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. And Sunday is it's Brady and Breeze. The NFL is here. We've had no preseason to talk about it. Here we go. At the top of next hour, my first herd hierarchy of the year. We've had situations. There's a couple of teams I had in it 2 months ago. I've dropped out because of players opting out and injuries. This is our first official herd hierarchy of the NFL season at the top of next hour. And coming up next, an NFL franchise made a mistake, and they've just got to own it, and that's really hard. I'll speak for men here. That's really hard for men to do. An NFL team just needs to own their mistake. That's coming up. What do you get when you cross a Mercedes-Benz SUV? And however you may be listening, live in Los Angeles, this is The Herd. Thanks for joining us on Fox Sports Radio and FS1. Joy is back after mechanical issues with a certain airline. Let's not get into it.
Yeah. We're here, though. We made it. It's different now. In COVID, there's not as many flights either. So if a flight just gets canceled, you're stuck where you are, even if it's Miami where there's 2 airports. So
No, Joy called me panicking Sunday, and I'm like, it's okay. I get it. The airlines, half the seats, a third of the flights.
Yeah.
Great to have you back. Do we all understand that Tom Brady is playing for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers Sunday?
Crazy.
Football season is here. It starts Thursday. Sunday, you got the Saints, Drew Brees, and Tom Brady. So, hello, football season's here. We haven't had a preseason. Therefore, you haven't had as much marketing. Everything's changed with COVID. Football season, Tom Brady is playing Sunday. Now, I want to start with this story. There's 2 types of fans. We're not fans. We have been fans, but there's 2 types of fans. The first fan is, often born in a town, never left his town, on a message board all day. The media is just the bad guys out to rip his team, and he's often 42 living with his parents. No bad news, he doesn't want to hear it. There's the other type of fan. He's grown up. He doesn't call his mom in his 40s if he's got a big decision. He asks his wife. He's not on the message boards all day, kind of finds them amusing. He's probably traveled a little more. He's okay with bad news. He roots for his team. He wears a sweatshirt. It drives him nuts when they lose. It ruins his Sunday when his NFL team loses, but he's a grown-up. He can handle bad news. Here's a story that will divide a fan base. Green Bay's first-round pick, Jordan Love, isn't even Aaron Rodgers' backup. He's number 3. The backup is somebody named Tim Boyle, who played at some place called, he's undrafted. He played at, did he play at St. Francis or UConn? He's undrafted. Oh, no, Eastern Kentucky. I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with him. He beat out Jordan Love, the first-round draft pick. Fan 1, Packer guy, cheesehead, never left his hometown, on message board, the media's out to get us, is going, it's just a developmental pick. This is no big deal. I understand it. But fan 2, a little more sophisticated, can actually handle some occasional bad news, is saying, was Aaron Rodgers ever number 3? Didn't we get crushed twice last year by San Francisco? Shouldn't we have people capable of playing this year? This seems kind of bad if you can't beat out Tim Boyle, right? Whose last big win, I'm told, was in 2017 over something called St. Francis. Isn't it kind of something? The story today, according to the GM of the Packers, our first-round pick, who we moved up to get, he said, obviously, Tim's quite a bit further ahead than Jordan Love. He's been here much longer. Folks, it didn't take long for Peter Schrager at this network to come on my show and said, this kid named Patrick Mahomes, this is his rookie year when he didn't play. He's going to be the next star. It didn't take long, 2 practices, for people in Baltimore to say, Lamar's not ready yet, but you're not going to believe what this. Pete Carroll did not want to start Russell Wilson his rookie year. He just gave Matt Flynn $10 million a year. Second week of practice, he was a team captain. So what kind of fan are you? Are you the fan that thinks we're the enemy and we're just out to get clickbait? None of us were to get paid that way. Or are you a fan that's actually realistic and thinks, didn't we get boat raced twice by San Francisco? Weren't we down by a combined 50-0 at half to San Francisco? Couldn't we draft people in the first round that actually potentially play if Aaron Rodgers gets hurt? I don't know. All I know is Joe Burrow is going to start game 1. Cam Newton's been in New England 45 minutes. He picked up the offense. He's going to start. A third of the NFL either has a quarterback with a new system or a system with a new quarterback. And I'm not counting new coordinators, and they're all playing. I'm sorry, but I was always fan 2, even as a kid. I didn't mind bad news. I was okay with it. I didn't love it, but I was okay with it. I got to be honest with you. First 2 draft picks for Green Bay, both this morning are 3rd string. There's 2 groups of fans. If you think Jordan Love not being able to beat out Tim Boyle is cool, come on now. I mean, come on now. Undrafted quarterback beat him out. Offenses are not easy to figure out. They're not calculated.